Let's go to, I'm going to jump way ahead of your story now. I don't want to fill in the thing, but you mentioned college and your kids, your parents instilling that belief. Do you still hold that with your kid? How old's your kid?
So I've got a 10-year-old daughter,
okay.
And I don't hold that belief. I think education's important. I think that for most people, they allow themselves to be educated. For a while it's kind of forced, and then maybe you choose college, and then for most people, education ends. And I'm just a big believer that education continues. I want to be a student. I want to be curious every day of my life, and I want to, keep taking, classes, however they may be, through books, through seminars, through podcasts, through conferences. I just want to keep learning because it's really fun to me. But I also think that there's some, just fundamental like imbalances, and I don't think that college is what it was. I don't think that college is the only thing or the only place to go. I mean, I think you can make a strong argument that if you get into some sort of apprenticeship and whatever it is, and it might be an apprenticeship in entrepreneurship, right? It might be learning, the ropes there. I just think that there's probably better education out there for certain people, for certain careers, for a certain type of learner.
Would you pay for college for her if she wants to go? Have you guys talked about that?
Yeah. So my wife had college paid for her, and that was really important to her. I didn't have college paid for me. And in the moment, I didn't like that, but that became very important to me because I figured out how to graduate debt-free because I had to work. If I had it just handed to me, I think it would have stunted my growth as a producer of whatever the thing is, So I don't know that there's consensus on it, but I think that we're both pretty comfortable that we'd pay for part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. There's something, and it's not a for sure thing, but there's definitely a trend of when you pay for something yourself, you put a lot more effort into it, right? Like my college roommate, he got everything paid for. I don't think he ever showed up to class one time, right? Or like, in fact, just yesterday, Alex and I were talking about, you and I are part of a mastermind together called the Wellspring. And he asked me, he's like, well, so what do you guys do in that group? I'm like, well, we meet every Monday. He's like, well, do you show up every week? I'm like, every week. Cause I paid like $35,000 to be there. I better show up every week, right? Not just because, we get to hang out and stuff, but I paid a lot of money for it. So there's certain value in that. But then when I've been given free access to a lot of different masterminds, I never show up to those things because I didn't pay for them. And so there's some value to that I see with schooling, right? But at the same time, it's also, you don't want to hamper your kid with, $100,000 worth of debt to go start, hey, go to the real world.
Right. Yeah. And by the way, I appreciate you paying $35,000 to hang out with me every Monday. So thank you. Yeah, that's really, really cool. Really kind of you.
It was all you, actually. That's why I joined.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that we can get education a lot cheaper. Yeah. We can get more specialized education. I don't believe there's any good formal education for entrepreneurship, for example, right? Like, what's the best way to become an entrepreneur? Well, it's not to go to school to become an entrepreneur. There's so many better ways. It'd be better to, run a business, flop, and then, move on. Like the younger you are to flop and, lose all your money and have something die, like that's the best education you can get. Yeah. And what a great foundation. And maybe you're one of the 1% that doesn't happen to, right? Yeah. And your business takes off. But, my daughter has dyslexia. And so, the experts really say that dyslexics generally fall into one of 4 categories of profession. And so, when I'm thinking about it, I'm thinking about it from a different lens. So you've got architecture, you've got entrepreneurship, you've got engineering, and then you've got like the arts. And so those are generally, where most people end up, where most people thrive, right? So I look at each of those and I'm like, well, a formal education on the engineering side probably makes sense, right? Like that, I think that one might be harder to do on your own. And I think we've got a good system. A lot of schools do a good job of that. Some of the others, I don't know. I feel like it might be better to be an apprentice. And by the way, maybe even in engineering. I mean, I could have never made it in engineering. Like, I just know that. So I don't really know what's behind it. I saw how much my friends were working with that major. And I was like, I don't think I could have hung.
That makes sense.